Hi, my name is Jess Herbst, and I'm 58 years old. I am the mayor of New Hope, Texas, making me the first openly transgender mayor.
My name is Alison May Francis.
My name is Rainey.
Hello, my name is Tobias.
Hi, my name's Winter.
My name is Finnegan Jones. I'm the Executive Director of Transcendence International.
My name is Krista De La Rosa.
My name is Bea de la Peña, and I'm from the Philippines, but I've been here in the States for almost 17 years.
My name is Jabril Williamson, and I am 42 years old.
Why don't we start by you telling me your name?
Orion.
My journey began, like most, when I was 3 years old. I have always felt that I wanted to look and dress and act and be like the girls did, not the way the boys did.
I have known I was transgender since I was about 14 years old, but my journey really started at about 21, which is when I finally came out the closet. I came out to my fiance, my family and friends, and my job at the time. And that's also when I started experimenting with makeup and cross-dressing.
I have been out this time around for about 5 years, taking hormones. I just had sex reassignment surgery in August.
Just out of high school. That's when I first found out what transgender was. I had never really heard of it before. I slowly came out to my friends and family. I lost some friends, gained a lot more. I lost a little bit of family, don't really care. Negativity out of my life, but we are getting back into touch.
I came out to my mom when I was a toddler. I stayed out pretty open about it until I was 9 years old. There was a lot of resistance from my family.
I started counseling in December 2010 and received my letter and started hormone therapy April 2011. To say that my life has changed is an understatement. I have gone from being socially awkward, having very few friends, thoughts of suicide, lots of depression, barely able to hold a job, to now I have my own support network. I am part of the community. I'm a leader in this community.
I actually just recently started my journey as in the full transition process. I've identified and lived my life as a woman for about 7 years now, and I never had any resources or knew where to go or how to start the transition process. And I did therapy with Miss Renee Baker here in Dallas for some time, and then after that just kind of got a little dark, so I took a step back and got some things together that happened with my family, particularly my mother, that certain things were going on with her. She was hospitalized, so I kind of had to take a step back and not focus on me, but pay more attention to her. But now that I have more free time, I'm definitely back and in color.
I didn't know really, back home in the Philippines, it's just either straight or gay. We don't really recognize about trans. We don't talk about trans. And the first time I had on a girl's dress, and I was just so comfortable, but I thought I was just being gay. And then I didn't know that, there's a trans. When I moved here in the States a few years ago, I started, shifting from being gay guy to trans, wearing dresses, putting on makeup, and I was very comfortable with it, and it just felt so good, and it just feels that I just felt that I am who I am, walking around, going with friends, and that's how I started doing full-time and living as a trans.
So my journey began for me actually the weekend of Father's Day in 2012, and I'll never forget it. It was as if I was born again, and she'd been talking to some of the other wives of the trans man or the girlfriends, and they were telling her some things to look for. And that day I came home after I got my shot, and we were getting ready to go to our a little resort for the weekend, and I was running up and down the stairs, and I was sweating profusely, and I was like, okay, I think we got everything, and I was super excited, and she's just laughing, and she goes, yeah, they said that you get this burst of energy, and all of a sudden all these dynamics of your body are gonna start to change. And so sure thing, that began my process for me.
When I was 12, my parents found out that I was dressing on the side. It was about 1969. They took me to a psychiatrist whose idea was just to man me up. His idea of manning me up was to take me to sports, which I didn't really care for, and then to make me work out because I was just not manly enough for a 12-year-old boy, although I thought I was a 12-year-old girl. So when I resisted that, he just told my parents, well, get a paddle and beat him. That's what they did in 1969.
The worst experience I've ever had was actually being fired from a job. I was the assistant manager of a bar in London at the time, and I had originally told them that I was transgender. I was continuing to work as a male at the time, and I had assured them that I would never cross-dress in the bar itself. I kept it very separate at the time. About 4 months into being on the job, I was called up and fired despite hitting numerous targets for the company. When I asked why I was being let go, the manager at the time had told me he didn't like my type. He didn't want to work with my kind, he didn't want my kind near him.
It hasn't entirely been easy. I still struggle with a lot of like family support and stuff. Like my brother and my mom are really cool. Dad's side of the family, not so much.
It is the dysphoria and the waiting. Those are the two hardest things to deal with. It gets bad. It really does. You know, it gets dark, and it gets sad and depressing, and sometimes I get angry and hopeless. One of the worst parts of my transition when I was younger and I was at that age where I couldn't do anything was I wasn't allowed to dress up the way I wanted. And anytime I put on any boy clothes, I would get yelled at for it. My mom would make fun of me. She would put me down, just treat me like crap.
When I was 9 years old, I experienced a hate crime. I won't go into detail on that. It was exceedingly violent. And I kind of crawled into myself for a few years while I went through therapy. At the age of 14, I came out again. I was in 9th grade. It was not accepted. I was going to an all-boys school, and it was very difficult. My family also didn't handle it very well. I was put in reparative therapy, conversion therapy, for 2 years. I've survived multiple hate crimes. I've survived rape. I've survived abuse.
I was that child who was bullied and beaten up in every school I attended in my younger days, elementary through high school. I had no friends. I was picked on constantly. Due to that, I started drugs, started drinking, became an alcoholic, and just sunk into depression. And it was a combination of me not understanding who I was and people not understanding who I was trying to be.
The negative feedback that you get from people whenever you do decide to tell them, you know, that you are trans or that you're starting to transition into how you identify yourself, and just the lack of support from friends and family, and just really hiding it from them for the longest, and then just finally saying, you know what, this is who I am, and this is who I love being, and this is my skin.
Well, there's so much challenges even from back home, you know. People recognizes it, you know, with gays, but there's still some bullying around. even in school, growing up, communities, even friends. I came from a family wherein the family ties, like each member of the family cares about you, and so it was so hard. But here in the States, well, the acceptance, it's more accepted. They need more education, but some of the people knows. There's some nurses that didn't want to call me with my girl's name because they said it was not legal yet. And then there was one that he approached me. He said, well, let me know whenever it's legal already, then I'll call you that name. So he's been continuing calling me with my my other name. So I said, okay, I mean, I don't mind, but it was a struggle for me. I don't really feel comfortable with him calling me in the hallway with that name, but I overcome it.
I was at a convocation in Las Vegas with my church, and it was 2013, maybe 2014, I'm not exactly sure. And I was getting onto the elevator, and I was very friendly, and I still am, but I got on the elevator and I said my hellos to everyone, and I looked around, and all of a sudden I was by myself. I was isolated on the elevator, and it was an elevator full of Caucasian women and their children and so forth. And so all of a sudden they began turning their purses on the opposite side, and they began moving all the way to the other side of the elevator. So needless to say, that was the longest ride down from, I think it was possibly the 8th floor to the lobby of the hotel. And so at that moment, I realized that I am now truly seen as a African American, as a black man. So it was a happy moment for me, because I still battled with my dysphoria and whether or not people could tell that I was of trans experience when I would go into the men's restrooms. So it was happy, but then at the same time it was sad, because I didn't want to be seen as, a statistic as some African American men are seen as, robbers, thieves, things of that nature. And so that day for me was kind of like an emotional roller coaster.
When I came out to the world, I did so in a letter, and I didn't expect many people to see that letter except for the town that I live in, and maybe the nearest town. But it quickly hit the internet and spread worldwide. I immediately started getting letters of encouragement, letters of support, letters of just admiration from all around the world, from parents of transgender children who just were so happy that somebody like me came out, that their children had someone to look up to, had an adult that was in even a small position as the mayor of a tiny town like I am. It was somebody that they could look up to and say, see, there is somebody that's like me. And it helped them to feel good about themselves. And there's nothing that'll make you feel better about yourself than making other people feel good.
One of the best experiences I've ever had was my first gay pride as a trans person. 2015 Fort Worth Pride was my first one, being completely out as myself. I went with my partner and my trans support group, and it was absolutely magical. There is nothing like being out and proud. When I first started transitioning, for about the first 6 months, it was absolutely awful. I did immediately just look like a guy in makeup and a skirt. I did not pass at all for a female, and so I would often be called sir. I'd often receive transphobic comments from customers, or weird looks, or being stared at, or asked what I am, and all sorts of things like that. It was really awful, but I had a customer that would always make my day. And I remember a particular time. She had a daughter who's about 6 years old, and she had her daughter, whenever I was having a bad day, she would have her come up to me and give me a little flower to put in my hair, and she would tell me I looked pretty today. And I know I didn't look pretty at the time, but it really made my day. It really lifted my spirits. And at a time when I was feeling so down from not looking female enough and not being seen as a female, she made me feel female, and her daughter helped me feel like a female and keep going. It was really, really lovely.
Experienced a lot of support from like the community and from communities I've had before, like with fellow like employees for jobs or things, folks that are willing to, or just like friends and stuff too that have been willing to help out with things like moving, with things like with these like drastic changes that I've had, with the surgery recovery, with changing my wardrobe, all that sort of thing. I've been very lucky in that regard.
That's when my best experience comes around, and that's my fiance. And she's always been there to pick me up and help me go and make me feel better. And I don't know what I'd do without her, but she's what gets me through my worst experiences.
People messaging me, emailing me, sometimes even calling me, finding my phone number and saying, hey, you're the only reason I'm alive. That's huge to me. I think that's the best experience I've had multiple times over as a trans woman.
Actually, a friend of mine who started coming to group, I think 4 years ago. The night that she came, she was so depressed, and she had told me that we were her last hope. That if this couldn't work, that she was going to go home and commit suicide. And it just scared me to lose such a beautiful person in this world. So she came to group, and we started talking. She started getting involved in the community. She got some mentorship from some of the more experienced transgender women who had been through this process for quite a while. And I just watched her thrive, literally thrive. She has become one of the leaders in the community, a mentor. It's just been incredible to watch her. She works with the homeless now, and to watch her thrive in a community that she thought that she could never be a part of. That's one of the most inspiring things that I've seen.
When your family finally does decide to come around and they show you that love and that support, I mean, there's nothing more than like having family support you. The negativity and everything that was going on around you just kind of drains you and pulls you down into places that you don't want to be. And like when they finally get on the bandwagon, it's just like a big sigh of relief, and you're just overjoyed, and it's kind of like a happy but sad moment, because you shouldn't have been that way in the beginning, and you should have just went ahead and accepted it.
I get up every day and I get to be who I am, and I get to put on makeup, and I get to go out in the world and get to be me. I get to be Jess, and I don't have to be Jess anymore.
Every now and then I love to go dancing. I know it sounds a little cliche and a lot. I love hitting the alternative scene in Dallas, and I love to strut my stuff. Especially if when you're dancing, no one wants to ask you questions or really look at you that much. You can just let loose, and it's great fun. And I only get to do it every now and then, unfortunately, but I love it. I love just hitting the scene and having fun.
Buy whatever clothes I feel the most comfortable in, and I put them on, and I make myself look all nice, and I kind of look in the mirror.
have a hard time believing that I really deserve nice things, so I really don't do anything for myself, if I'm completely honest. I haven't even gotten a haircut in 2 years. However, I do volunteer a lot of time to animal shelters, homeless people, so on and so forth. And I do that because, having been a marginalized individual, I understand how hard it can be for other people. I'm also a vegan personally, and I think humans largely mistreat animals, and so I put a lot of time into that as well.
I'm really an introvert. Most people don't understand that at all. It takes a lot of energy to do things in the community that I do. But I love it. I love meeting people and learning about them and learning about their lives. So me time is important for me. I love fishing. I love working in our yard, making it beautiful. I love going camping with my friends. We have such a great time. And spending quality time with my family. That's one of the things that really, really keeps me going. And I love spending time with my wife, Susan.
I'm all about my nails and I'm all about my toes. So I definitely like to spoil myself and get my nails done and get my toes did. Got to get the eyebrows done and just make sure, the hands and the feet are definitely on point and making sure you're sexy.
My friends they accepted me for what I've been going through, transitioning, and but most of all, I have friends who have been transitioned ahead of me, and I get the support, and they've been telling me what to expect and what to do, how to live the life of being a trans, but most of all, at work, they accepted me so well. Management, my God, I owe them a lot. My manager, he accepted me so well. He's been sending me messages like Christmas or some holidays that how he appreciate me of showing who I am and who I want to be, and it feels so good. Angela, she showed me everything, and she just showed me the world of being a trans, and I was very fortunate to have her. She stood as my life coach, and it really made me so easy transitioning.
I like giving back to my community. I'm a big advocate. As a part of Black Trans Men Incorporated, I'm the Faith and Social Justice Program Coordinator. I'm also the Fort Worth Chapter Leader. In addition to that, I'm a part of the Health and Wholeness team, in which I'm able to now do HIV testing, and we're starting to go and inform the community about the disparities that the trans community is facing and so forth. So that's kind of what I do for myself. I feel good when I'm able to give back, because I feel as though a lot of people have given a lot for me to be where I am today. So for me, I just want to pay it forward. The beauty of it all is that my wife has been there to kind of balance me out when I have those frantic moments and when I'm irritated as a result of some of the things that happen when you're on your testosterone shots. So, she kind of tells me, okay, calm down. Right now you're at a 10. I need you to bring it down to about a 5 or a 6. So she's kind of been my backbone and my rock throughout it all.
I was afraid, just like you were. I thought that the world would just hate me, that no one would respect me, that I would get beat up, that I would get disowned, that just laughed at. Really, I thought if I went anywhere, people would look at me and just laugh. And what I found was, as I went out in the world, that really wasn't the case. that as long as I was myself, as long as I was not shy and not feeling, I don't know, embarrassed, that people would just treat me like another person. As long as I looked them in the eye and I talked to them and I spoke to them just like I'm speaking to you here today, that they would respect me and that they would just, if I felt like everything was normal, they thought everything was normal. And I guess that's the most inspiring thing I can say is that just understand that you are normal, that you are who you're supposed to be. I know that society is just now understanding this, but we didn't understand the world was round either for a while, and that didn't make it not so. It's the same with being transgender. You're that way for a reason. You were born that way. Live it. Make it your own.
It is going to be hard. There are going to be difficult times. There are going to be times where you feel like giving up. And you might even feel alone. You might fear losing everyone around you, your friends, your family, your husband, your wife, anyone. But what I can tell you is we're here for you. Something I've learned, maybe the hard way, in the last couple of years of being a trans person has been that as a community, trans people are like a family and we treat each other like family. And if you're out there and you're about to start your journey and you're not sure or you're worried, you've got big sisters and big brothers like myself, and we're here for you. We are fighting for you. We will pick you up when you fall down. Just never forget that. Because even if you lose the people that call yourself family now, there's a huge, big, loving family ready to, with open arms just for you. And we'll always be there. Whether you choose to fully transition or not, whether you want to medically transition or not, whether you want to change your pronouns or names or not, we are here for you and we can understand you.
If you give folks a chance, they'll pleasantly surprise you, and you'll get more pleasant surprises than unpleasant ones overall. I mean, this is a tough way to live your life. I'm not going to try to candy coat that.
Number 1, dysphoria sucks, yes, but it will get better. I hate saying that, but it will. Trust me. All you have to do is keep going. Do not stop. Don't give up. There are going to be times when things will not go the way you want it to. It won't go as planned. There will be people who are mean to you, people who try to put you down, people who try to stop you from doing this. But if this is what you are meant to do and you know it, you need to do it. Because when it's over, you will feel so much better for it. My puppy agrees. Okay, secondly, one thing you really need to know when you're starting out is there is no set standard for how to be a man or how to be a woman. It doesn't exist. Men all act differently. Women all act differently. Be yourself. If you're a feminine boy, be it. Rock it. I'm a feminine boy sometimes. It's okay. Most of the time, I'm a feminine boy. It's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make you any less of a man. For a woman, you can be a tomboy and still be a woman. There's nothing wrong with that. People are going to love you for who you are. And if they don't, you don't need those people in your life. Get rid of them. You don't need that kind of negativity.
For those of you who are just starting your journey, just remember that you're not alone. I know that sounds incredibly cliche, but your differences are beautiful. It's okay to be different. And if you're non-binary, just know that even if you meet some resistance within the community, you're beautiful just the way you are. And you shouldn't change that for anybody. Not in the community, not out of the community. Nowhere. Just be you. You may face a lot of adversity from it, and you may have hard times.
My wife, Susan, is... we've been together since the very beginning of this process, and we learned this process together. We both started with counseling with separate counselors, which is very important to do. And We learned so much about each other through this process. We started off as a lesbian couple, and about a year later is when I started transitioning. And she has blossomed into this amazing leader in this community for other spouses and parents. And we've done this together, and that is the most important thing to me, is that we did this together, and our relationship just grew stronger and stronger and stronger as we've gone. And we're now legally married, thank you to President Obama, and I know that we will be together the rest of our lives and just keep building this community and raising people up. That's one of the things that we love.
I would definitely say just keep your head up and don't listen to the negativity surrounding you, because it's only going to bring you down. So I would just find like a hobby or find something that you connect with, even if it's music, art, whatever it is that you connect with, find that place and just run with it, because people are always going to kind of sort of be down looking on, you know, certain things in life that we all experience. And so I would just say grasp onto something and just run with it.
You're being surrounded with friends with so much passion, with with positive out of like it will transcend to you. It just makes me beautiful. It just makes me powerful. Especially surrounded with strong, independent women with a very good career. It does help me a lot to strive more harder and be a strong woman and independent.
Just know that the world is changing and that we're not hiding anymore, that transgender people are standing up. We are showing people who we are. We are being more and more respected. We are talking to each other. We're no longer hiding in the shadows, and it's a wonderful thing, and it's going to make the world a much better place. Thank you.
Other trans people out there, if you're watching, hi. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with others around you. People won't get things immediately. The people around you might have never met a trans person before. I've experienced a lot of that, and sometimes you do have to do a little bit of teaching with the people close to you. Be patient with them. It takes time for people to correct themselves on names and pronouns, and be patient with your own body. When you first start medically transitioning, if you choose to, it does take time. You don't just take that first pill or first injection and then bam, you're a bombshell or a handsome guy, or whatever it is you're aiming for. It takes time. It takes practice with makeup and clothing and all sorts of things. It is really like being born again, and you start from square one. So cut yourself some slack if you're just starting the road.
Keep your heart open, and folks will help, and there'll be people you can talk to and people you can engage with to help. And I don't know, thank you very much for your time.
This is to the cis community, to the community that is not transgender and doesn't know anything about us or what we go through. You guys need to understand that we're going through a lot, and we know that it's not something that you'll understand, but go a little easier on us, please. Be a little more aware of what people like us need. We need help. We can help each other as much as possible. I know that a lot of us are getting jobs as lawyers and getting jobs as, working in courts and police and stuff like that, but there's not enough of us in those fields right now. And doctors, if you don't want to see a transgender patient, don't put on your website that you take transgender patients, because then we're going to come to you and you're going to turn us away, and guess what? A lot of us will get so discouraged by that we may do something we'll regret later. And I want you to just, please, think about what you're doing. For those of you who are seeking doctors right now, do your research. Please, please do your research, because there are people who thought they were going to a good doctor, and it was a bad doctor. I mean, I know that you're desperate to get all these things fixed, but you have got to trust me when I say that cheap price is not worth it. Because it's going to build up just getting it fixed, whatever they botched up. You don't want, just do your research. Please, do your research. That's the biggest thing in this community. It gets better over time, it really does. I hate to be cliche, but it does get better.
It will take a lot of work, it will take a lot of dedication, and a lot of honesty with yourself. But it's definitely, sorry for that sound, it gets better.
Compassion doesn't take money. Compassion doesn't take a lot of time. Empathy takes no time and no money. Volunteering does take some time. But the volunteering that I see, the volunteers that I see in our community that help others and put their personal opinions and personal judgments aside are the people that I see that are the happiest in this world, helping others through any of the heartaches that they go through. If we can learn to put opinion and judgment aside, then we can make this world a better place. My wife is a minister. I don't consider myself a Christian. I consider myself a disciple. And yes, that does give me strength. I feel like I'm doing the work that is supposed to be done in this world. I feel like I'm doing the work that I was put on this earth to do, that I finally found my path. But it's my path and my journey. You need to find your path and your journey. Find your path. Look for people along the path that you can pick up and help and carry down that path.
We're no different from anyone else, you know. I mean, I don't really see it being a big issue now. I mean, I would just encourage you guys just to go ahead and just jump on board. Let's spread the love, you know, especially in this time and everything that's going on with our society and our world. I mean, what more would it be for us to just love on each other instead of bringing each other down? I just really would say to all my trans brothers and all my trans sisters, just keep your head up, keep pushing forward, because there's light at the end of the tunnel. And don't forget that if no one else loves you, I love you, and the man upstairs loves you, so keep pushing.
Those are all the questions.
Boom!
When you transition, it's not very easy. Emotionally wise, you know, you're gonna be drained. You need somebody to be with you. You need friends, or you need friends who transition. They need to feel and they need to think that they are all beautiful. You know, when you transition, it's so hard to, sometimes you have to find your ways to fit in.
Don't count the community out, or at least give the opportunity to get to know someone in the transgender community. We just want to live our lives like everyone else. Most of us have friends, we have wives, husbands, we have children, and our lives are really no different than anybody else. The only difference is we are walking in our authentic journey, and a lot of people may not have the strength or even the courage to do that. So it takes a lot of courage to even take the step to transition. And if I had to do it over again, would I ask to have been put in this body? Probably not, because of all the heartache, and not everyone transitions with you when you transition. So I lost some teachers that I looked at as father figures. I lost some family members and some friends that just didn't understand, but I had to do that for me and for my family, for my well-being. So I would say just get educated. If you have questions, ask.
Being a transgender is a beautiful life, and I think it's a gift. What could have happened if I did it? I might be questioning myself. Should I be happier if I transition full-time or if I live as a trans woman?
Why don't you sit down and get comfortable? Do you want the pillow behind you?
No, I am comfy.
Are you going to squiggle and squirm the whole time, or can you sit still?
I can sit still.
Okay.
Before, I couldn't help but notice that you had some pretty cool socks on. How about you tell me about those?
Well, I got them for Christmas.
Yeah.
And my aunt gave them to me, so yeah. They're just pretty much a gift.
Is there spaghetti on the socks?
No.
What's on the socks?
Tacos and Deadpool.
Who's the best?
Deadpool.
But he's not a superhero.
Yeah, he is. He's a superhero villain. What do you not get?
Hi, my name is Guinevere, and I contacted Kurtz because I wanted to tell my son's story and what an incredibly special kid he is and how special he is to me. Orion was just your average kid, very, very quiet, very introverted. He would sit in the corner of a room and he would just watch everything. And he was always your 20-minute warm-up kind of kid. And sometimes he really wouldn't warm up. He would just sit and observe and watch. And on his second birthday, my mom died. And so I got a message from my dad. I was outside talking to my dad, and he had told me that my mom had passed away. And I went back inside for Orion's birthday, and he was in this beautiful pink dress, and his hair was all pulled up in pretty bows. And when I walked in, he just had a total meltdown. He was screaming and crying, and he was clawing at this dress, and everyone was getting ready to come over. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I hate pink. I hate pink so much." And I said, when did you start hating pink?" And he was like, "I'm a boy. I'm not a girl." And I just stopped, and I was like, "What?" Okay, my mom just passed away. The doorbell's ready to ring. My kid's clawing at a dress. And I just looked at him and I said, "Do you want a cupcake?" And he was like, "Yes." And I said, "Then shh, be quiet. We're gonna have this birthday." So the birthday party went on, and he sat in the corner of his own birthday, and he was very quiet and really not enjoying himself too much. And after the party, after we opened all the presents, he just started crying. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "I don't like this. I don't like any of it." And he's 2. And I said, "Well, what do you want?" And he said, "I want superheroes." And I said, "You want superheroes?" And he said, "Yes." And my best friend was there, and she said, "You're leaving tonight to go home for your mom's funeral." So I was like, "Okay, what are we going to do with all this stuff?" So we took it all back. Everything came from Target. And we bought all superhero clothes. I know, stop crying. And one night we were laying in bed, and we were saying our prayers goodnight. And he started crying, and he said, "Mom, do you believe in God?" And I said, "I do. Do you believe in God?" And he said, "I do. But God made a mistake. And God really, really, really messed up." And I said, "Well, what do you mean God really messed up? What do you mean?" And he started crying, and he said, "God messed up and put me in the wrong body. And I'm not supposed to be in this body because I'm a boy." And he said, "And if I can't be a boy, then I don't want to live." and we cut all his hair off. And then we said, okay, it's going to be Orion. And that night we went home, and he cried, and as he was looking in the mirror, and it made me cry. And I said, honey, I told you if we cut your hair, you can never get it back. And he said, no, Mom. He said, today is the happiest day of my life. And so we started kindergarten, and he was Orion. And he's my Orion. And why am I your number one cheerleader?
Because I told you first.
And did I accept you?
Yes.
Did I say, oh my God, no?
No.
No. So who else are your cheerleaders?
My aunt.
Aunt Becca, right?
And most of my family.
Right. And you say most of your family is your cheerleaders. We have some that aren't, right?
Right.
So how do we handle that?
We just don't bother to talk to them.
And when we go places, what does Mommy do to let you know you're safe?
She says if this person is a cheerleader or not.
Right. And if we walk in some place and I go, oh, these aren't our cheerleaders, what do?
We just go.
We leave. And if I say this place is full of cheerleaders, what do?
We stay.
We stay. We have safe places, right?
Right.
Do you have safe teachers?
Yes.
Yeah.
You said you didn't want to be a superhero, but you are a superhero. You know that? You are. Just like when you went from pink dresses to wearing Superman with masks, you're a superhero. Because you're going to help out a lot of kids. And that's what a superhero does.
What I do with my body is my choice, just like what you do with your body is your choice. I'm not sick. I'm not a pedophile. None of us are. None of us are. If you would just listen to me. Listen to me. Because I love you just as much as I love anybody else in this world. So please, my message to you is to just pay attention, listen, learn, talk to other transgender people. Talk to us. We're not scary. We're not the devil. We're not bad guys. We're not bad women. We're just like you. Thanks.